What's up, vinyl community? It's your boy Chris coming at you live as always from the man cave. It's been about a week, I think maybe a little bit more since I've done a video. For those of you who are curious, as always, there's always 3 or 4 of you. Sycamore Juiciness India Pale Ale. It's great. It's got a hazy feel to it. It's one of my favorites, and for any of you guys who ever visit, if you're a beer enthusiast, that is, and even if you're not really, because it's just such a great vibe and environment. That ever visit Charlotte, North Carolina, or the area, first of all, hit me up, obviously, because I want to meet you. First of all, obviously. Second of all, Sycamore Brewing, and Charlotte is my favorite brewery in the city. And for those of you who aren't aware of Charlotte and craft beer, look it up. We are serious about that shit down here. So yeah, first of all, look me up. Second of all, let's go to Sycamore. And they have their food truck Fridays. The food truck Fridays are insane. I mean, pretty much any kind of food that you can think of is there. They've always got music, and they've always got events, and it's just great. Anyway, not to get off the topic, I could talk about beer probably just as long as I could about records. So, we'll take this time to talk about a little VCLT from 2 good friends of mine in the vinyl community. First of all, to David Newton. He and I followed each other on Instagram for a while. We've talked back and forth, a couple times, probably not as often as we should. He entered my contest, my 500 subscribers contest, and I loved his video, and I put it in my final 6. I loved it. Great daughters, and he seems to be just a great dad. Seems to have done a great job at that. Just seems like an awesome guy and the kind of guy I'd like to hang out with. But I had mentioned in the comments underneath his videos, he had talked about the band Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. He had talked about them in this video. And I had remembered it had been a while since I'd heard from Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, or heard any of their music. And so I just kind of, sent him a message going, yeah, man, I need to get some of that on vinyl, actually. And so he drops me a message and says, hey, man, I've got 2 copies of a Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. Take them on your own. 2 copies of it, and one of them sealed. Would you be interested? If so, just leave me your address. I'm like, yeah, man, sure. If you've got 2 copies, hell, I mean, why not? So I gave him my address, and like 3 or 4 days later, here this beautiful record right here was. And it had been forever since I'd heard from Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, and the last time that I had heard anything about Black Rebel Motorcycle Club was on CD. So I had never actually heard them on vinyl before. But look at this, it's 2 LPs. And it's basically yellow, translucent, but like a little, burnt, in the vinyl. So it's like a burnt yellow translucent vinyl. It's 2 LPs. This record holds the mail, guys. It's just awesome. I've only had time, David, admittedly, to listen to 1 LP. The very first one, but I threw it on. I'd been listening to jazz all day. I'm sure you guys are shocked. I had been listening to jazz all day, and usually, any day, even if I listen to jazz all day long, I'm going to throw in a rock record or a country record or just a classic from my childhood or something to, just kind of like, change the mood up a minute. And then I might throw on jazz for the rest of the day. I mean, you never know. Or I might just get on a run and throw on 3 or 4, rock records in a row. Well, this is one of those particular days I've been listening to jazz all day. I had just gotten this record in from David, maybe a couple days prior, and just hadn't had a chance to listen to it yet. And so I'm like, okay, I'm kind of in the mood for some rock. And so I'm going through my collection, and I had almost forgotten that I had just gotten this. And then I looked on the table, because they always stay on my table after I clean them, stack them on my table, file them away in the on rotation section. First couple of cubes right here, which is always where I put my stuff I need to listen to before it gets filed away and hopefully not forgotten about. So I'm like, I just got that from David. So I go over there, grab it out, threw it on. I had it, at a certain volume. And I'm really jamming out to it, really vibing out to it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn that shit up. So I turned it up real good. My wife, works at home, but she was wrapping up her work day. And it wasn't so loud. I mean, her office is on the other side of the house. But so she comes in. And I thought she was going to ask me to turn it down. That's what I thought. She's like, who is this? My wife's a rocker, guys. My wife does not give a shit about my jazz. at all. She likes about the only kind of music she and I can really, really, really like vibe out to together is usually the blues, because she likes the blues and I love the blues. So we'll vibe out to that together. But she doesn't care about my jazz. She doesn't talk shit about it or anything, or make me feel like I'm anything less for liking jazz. She's not going to sit in here and listen to jazz with me. But she comes in, she goes, "What is that?" And I turned around and smiled at her, and I told her, I said, "This is Black Rebel Motorcycle Club." I said, "You ever heard of them?" And she thought about it for a second. She goes, "They sound kind of familiar." I'm like, "Well, this album's like 15 years old, I think. David, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it came out like 2003 or 2004. I can't remember. But anyway, so I turn it up, and she and I vibe out together, in here, through a whole LP before we had to leave to go pick my daughter up. But we loved it, and we're going to revisit the second LP here pretty soon. But of course, I'd heard it before, but it had just been a while, and my wife was just really dug this. So thank you, David, for sending me an album that my wife and I can listen to together. She doesn't sit in here and listen to Coltrane with me. She just don't. So that's just the way it is. But I really do dig this, man. It's awesome, and thank you for A, for being an awesome guy, B, for being a subscriber, and C, for just putting a great record in my hands if that wasn't already A. But thanks, man. I really enjoy it. I'm gonna keep enjoying it, and thank you so much, buddy, for putting this one in my hands. Thank you, David. All right, next friend of mine that sent me some VCLT. So hopefully you guys are familiar with Hank, Smokestack Records. My boy Hank, my East Tennessee friend. But anyway, a while back, Hank had wore this exact T-shirt, this Smokestack Records T-shirt, in one of his videos, and I love. If you go through my closet, it's all band T-shirts, record store T-shirts, friends of mine that have businesses, or whatever, or bands T-shirts, and brewery T-shirts. And then I got a few for just in case I need to look nice every now and then. But that ain't my day-to-day attire. So I just dropped him a message, like, "Hey, Hank, man, what can I do to get one of those Smokestack T-shirts that you're wearing?" And he had, just, commented back, something along the lines of, "I've actually been putting together a VCLT package for you. So how about you just tell me what size you wear, and I'll drop you one in there." Well, that's awesome, brother. I'm a large. Thank you. I appreciate it. So package showed up a few days ago. Hank, I'm sorry I hadn't hollered at you before now, but I figured the first time I looked at it, I wanted it to be on video for you to see. Same thing for you, David. So here I am. And here's the T-shirt in a large. Fits perfect. Looks great. Thank you, Hank. So Hank drops in the package. Smokestack Records sticker. Awesome. I love the logo, bro. I really do. I've always liked that logo. And this is a pin. And it's what you guys are accustomed to seeing rotating in the intro to Hank's videos. By the way, if you don't, subscribe to either David or Hank, don't jump on it. Get over there. Hank's last 3 videos in particular, man, you've got some insane stuff lately, Hank. I hadn't had a chance to comment. I've only had a chance to kind of like casually watch them, and it's taken me like over a week to watch them because I just haven't had that much spare time. But great stuff, bro. Man, there's a lot of them in particular I want to comment on it. I will. You'll see those comments soon. But this is what you're accustomed to seeing there. So I got the sticker, got the pin, got a note from Hank, which I don't think Hank's going to mind me reading. Chris, thank you for being one of the earliest supporters of my channel. Your knowledge and passion for jazz has opened my eyes to so many great records. Hopefully this package will be able to turn you on some incredible soul groups you may not be aware of. Hope you enjoy. God bless. Hank, Smokestack. Thanks, brother. I'll tuck this in one of those records because I always like to keep the notes from you guys. It's great stuff. And this one, buddy, he's got a post-it note on it. Hand-carved block print of the Fab Four I made a few years ago. You guys, look at this. This is so cool. I can't believe you made that, man. The Beatles, all 4 of them, John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Love that we do. I've already ordered a frame, Hank. I'm going to frame this. I am. I'm going to frame it, and I've already got a spot in mind for it. So thanks, man. But it'll be one of the cooler conversation pieces in here, because a lot of my pieces in here, and I'm going to show you guys all of them someday. A lot of the pieces in here were custom made from me, from sellers and whatnot. Some of them are things that I just found at flea markets and whatnot. But a lot of them are great conversation pieces, and I'll be able to say that my boy, my friend Hank Smokestack, made this for me. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that. But I already got a frame on the way. I'm going to frame this. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It's so cool. I wish I had any artistic or any abilities or any talents at all other than talking about music and eating chicken wings and drinking beer. I need a job that will pay me to do all those things, but I guess I'm not a good enough bowler or poker player. Anyway. Okay, so next up is a 7-inch. My God Has a Telephone. The Flying Stars of Brooklyn, New York. I had never heard of these guys, Hank. I'd never heard of them. A beautiful gospel/soul single by Aaron Frazier, the drummer for Duran Jones and the Indications. Now, I love Duran Jones and the Indications. One of my favorite coal mine singles. Great stuff. Can't wait to throw that on here in a minute. Hank is a really big advocate of Coal Mine Records for you guys who haven't seen his videos and haven't, subscribed to his channel, which you should as soon as you get through watching this one, of course. Don't leave just yet. Next up, and there's a funny story behind this one. Duran Jones and the Indications, American Love Call. For you guys who watch all my videos, and I know there are a few of you who do, like Melinda and Chris Has the Spins and my guitar player 07, and Vinyl Community Steve Carlson seems to watch all of them anyway. There's a lot of you guys that watch all my videos, and I know you do, and I really appreciate it because you always comment. But this is of course on orange vinyl, and I am of course familiar with Duran Jones and the Indications, so much that I had bought this album a few days prior, and I had talked about it on my video of our epic VC get together at Lunchbox in Charlotte. Me, myself, local bandography, David, Bill, and John, and I'm trying not to forget anybody. I don't think I did. Me, Dylan, David, John, Bill. There you go. And I had picked this up at Lunchbox because I wanted it, and I wanted the first time I ever heard it to be on vinyl. But I had passed on it for a while because I've been, buying, jazz records and whatnot. But I go in Lunchbox. I didn't find all that much. I'm like, you know what? Today's finally the day that I'm going to grab that damn Duran Jones and the Indications album. I heard so many great things about it, and I love their first album. But the note that Hank leaves on here is American Love Call, Duran Jones and the Indications. My pick for album of the year so far. Absolutely gorgeous soul record, and my favorite band on the Coal Mine label. But anyway, I picked it up, and I talked about it on my video, and Hank had left a comment under it going, "Awesome, dude, I love that Duran Jones and the Indications album. The only problem is there's currently one on your way from me." Now, so I just told him, I said, you know what, I hadn't popped the plastic on the copy I just got yet, so I'm going to keep the copy you send me, and then I'll just turn around and flip the other one, which I did. I've already put it in good hands. And the person that whose hands I put it in loves it. So that's what's important. And now, here in a minute, after I wrap up, this video, I'm going to pop the plastic on this bad boy. I'm going to give it a good clean. It's going on a platter. So thank you, Hank. I've been wanting to listen to this one for so long. Man, if you guys aren't familiar with Duran Jones and the Indications, you've got to get them into your life. Next up. And this one was one in particular. This one's also going on the table here soon. Lee Moses, How Much Longer Must I Wait? Singles and Rarities, 1965 to 1972. I'm really looking forward to throwing this on. How Much Longer Must I Wait by Lee Moses, one of the most underrated Southern soul singers. The powerhouse comp will knock your socks off. Thanks, Hank. I can't wait to throw this on, man. So I've got some great stuff here from Hank. Duran Jones and the Indications, Lee Moses. And, of course, My God Has a Telephone, The Flying Stars, 7-inch. All on Coal Mine. Thanks, man. Thank you so much, Hank. I really appreciate it, buddy. Hank's actually one that I'm positive we can find a way to meet someday. I go to Asheville a lot. You live in East Tennessee. one of the shops you talked about in your last video, Wild Honey, is actually my favorite record store that I've been to in Tennessee. Now, maybe it's because both of the 2 times I went, I scored some heat. So it's probably why it's my favorite. That and the owner was super nice and let me in 30 minutes before they opened one day, which was so cool. Thank you. I actually wish I had a channel back during that day, because that would have been a cool day to document. But anyway, it's been a few years ago. So, thank you, David. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, you guys. If you don't, subscribe to David Newton. And thank you so much, my friend Hank. I really appreciate it. Cheers to both of you guys. Man, I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate it. There's so many wonderful people in this vinyl community. And you guys are both shining examples. And I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate it. I'll make it up to both of you some way. Best believe. And I've got your addresses, so I don't have to ask for permission. Thank you, guys. I've got some music to listen to. So, until next time, until next video. Thank you, Hank. Thank you, David. Keep dropping that needle, you guys.